Well, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, has made a response to everything that was been going on with the California Reparations Commission. Now, remember, he's the one that put the task force together back in, I think, end of 2020, going into 2021. He put it together. He called for a study for reparations. Understand, it was him. It was no one else. It wasn't the all the people, in the legislature and all that. It wasn't them, right? It was him. Fine. So black folks say, hey, this is a good start. Let's go ahead and start going to these public meetings. They put a task force together. They got the people on board. We even interviewed on the African Diaspora News channel, Camila Moore. She came over, explained to us what the task force is, what they were trying to do, what they think reparations should be, etc. Gavin Newsom has made a response because the number had came back from the task force proposal to pay black people who qualify up to $1.2 million in restitution for slavery. And Wednesday, Gavin Newsom had made a response, and also a state senator made a response as well about the doubt they have about the prospect of cash payments. Gavin Newsom and this lawmaker had a doubt. So let's go on and get into that. So Gavin Newsom has said the Reparations Task Force's independent findings and recommendations are a milestone in our bipartisan effort to advance justice and promote healing. This has been an important process, and we should continue the work as a nation to reconcile our original sin of slavery and understand how that history has shaped our country. Now, they say while the Democratic governor applauded the task force's work, he declined to endorse any specific recommendations, though he pledged to continue to advance systemic changes that ensure an inclusive and equitable future for all Californians. Now, this is supposed to be about black people, and he's mentioning systemic changes that ensure inclusive and equitable future for all Californians. When you start hearing the word systemic racism from Democrats, when you hear the word inclusion, inclusive, if you hear the word equity, equitable, that is their keywords and buzzwords they're used when they're going to give black people the okie doke. OK, now, rest assured, I definitely wanted to see black people in California get reparations. I wouldn't get a dime of it. I'm in Texas, but it would have been good to see them get that. Now, we don't know what the future holds for that. We're not saying it's the end of everything, right? Because when black people was on the plantation, they didn't get off the plantation the first time they tried. It took some time for them to get off of that plantation. But let's continue, because I want to give my people just some encouragement in this particular podcast. So continuing, he says, dealing with the legacy, is about much more than cash payments. Yes, Gavin Newsom is going to tell black people that reparations is more than cash payments. He says many of the recommendations put forward by the task force are critical action items we've already been hard at work addressing. Do you hear that? Now, black people in California, is he really at hard work addressing your issues? From what I've been hearing, he hasn't. He said breaking down barriers to vote. Nobody mentioned anything in reparations or the task force about voting. Why are you mentioning voting when they're asking you about, hey, what about the recommendations of the task force for black people? He just going on his Democrat talking points, talking about voting. Bolstering resources to address hate. That wasn't nothing that was being talked about. Enacting sweeping law enforcement and justice reforms to build trust and safety. Strengthening economic mobility, all while investing billions to root out disparities and improve equity in housing, education, healthcare, and well beyond. This work must continue. He's using the word disparities, all that. When they're throwing out education, healthcare, all of that, right? So he's giving you the classic Democrat speech. Now, they said following the task force submission of his final report this summer, he said, I look forward to a continued partnership with the legislator. It said to advance systemic changes that ensure an inclusive and equitable future for all Californians. We're talking about black people, and we went from black people to all Californians. He didn't say what he was with, what he wasn't with, but he definitely did not say, yeah, if they sign this, I'm with it. Didn't say that. State Senator Stephen Bradford said that he wouldn't count on the legislature. It said, though dominated by Democrats. That's the key point. You can't get more of a Democrat enclave than California. If the Democrats won't do something for you in California, you just about may not get it nowhere. Unless you make the Democrats do something for you. But let's continue. It say to vote in favor of payments. It say one of the recommendations of a panel, it say expected to release. It says final recommendations on July the 1st. He said, I'm realistic enough to know that we may not have colleagues who are willing to do that, Bradford said. He said he spoke after Newsom sparked an uproar with a statement that hailed the findings of the task force as a milestone, but specifically noting that dealing with the legacy of slavery is about much more than cash payments. It said the governor was acknowledging political reality, Bradford said. I think he's setting a realistic expectation that there probably won't be a check. It said payments in the tune of or the amount that we've batted around for the last 2 years since we started this process. It said the comments from Newsom and Bradford illustrate the considerable political obstacles to compensating black people for the harms of slavery, even in a progressive state that drew praise for creating a groundbreaking task force. It said those challenges will be magnified by California's enormous budget deficit. It said the contentiousness of proposing cash payment. And Bradford acknowledged resistance from fellow Democrats. You have your Democrat Party that is extremely resistant to reparations. We not even mentioning Republicans, don't even put them in it. You talking about Democrats. The party that you black people, you, the majority of you I'm talking to, you, run out there and vote for. And they telling you in a Democrat enclave like California, you can't get no Democrat than that there is resistance from the party that you vote for. They say it's contentious to give you reparations, but it's not contentious when Biden is just sending a couple more billion to Ukraine. That's not contentious. But it's only contentious if you get, y'all have to understand, white supremacy in the way it's set up now cannot work unless black people are at the bottom. White folks measure how white supremacy is working based on black people's condition. If black people are low, they're happy, everything's working fine. If black people as a collective group of people come up, then they say, wait a minute, things are not working right. And y'all have to understand, the Democrats is just as racist, if not more racist. At least the Republicans wouldn't play a game with you or with a commission. They just tell you flat out, nah, I ain't doing that. The Democrats had black people in California going to meetings, black people fighting to try to get the language right and everything. And then your Democrats, with the guy saying, he said the fellow Democrats, they don't agree with it. Not Republicans, Democrats. Your favorite political party. You vote for Democrat like it's a culture. This is the lowest thing I've ever seen done, on top of the other things I've seen done by the Democrat Party. It is, I think it's more lower than what they just did in California or what even they're saying right now. Because think about it. You wasted the California Reparations Commission's time for doing all this. You had all these people getting angry and being at a meeting, right? All this time, almost going on 2 years, public meetings, virtual meetings, all these different things that you were doing. And the whole time you're saying, well, do y'all realize what kind of sick joke that is to play on black people, especially in California? You know me, I'm being an ally to something for black people because I couldn't get it no way. But what kind of sick joke the Democrats just played on black people in California, the people who suffering the most? Black people are being dogpiled on with all this illegal immigration. Black people lead in homelessness in California. Black people are suffering in California. A lot of black people had to leave the state because they cannot make it in California. A lot of them went to Las Vegas because they still wanted access to that place. I get it. Some of your family's still there. I know. But a lot of them came further down south as well. Now, what I will say is let's look at this thing as actually positive. And you say, what's so positive about this? Just because this is going on, sometimes things happen for a reason. And just because you may not get things the way you think you should get them, don't mean you won't get them. One thing that the Lord wants y'all to know is black people, you have looked to this Democrat Party as your God, and this is why you constantly disappointed. You don't really look to the real Father of heaven and earth. You look to the Democrat Party. And you notice how the Democrat Party fails you time and time and time and time again. And the Democrat Party has played the sickest joke on black Californians, and the black people in particular, with this task force. An extremely sick joke. They would never do that to nobody else but black people, because you have shown them you can abuse you and you still get your behind up and go out and vote Democrat. You have all your so-called black celebrities will try to get you in line on Twitter to go vote Democrat because they get paid. Let's call it what it is. Your black celebrities that's talking about Democrat, they get paid because, Boulay Martin and Joy Reid and all them, they get, the brunt of the fire. Well, they're really not the main ones either, because all your celebrities promoting Democrat, they got bigger platforms than Boulay Martin, Joy Reid, and the rest of them. Notice in California, all these people are Democrat. Go, let's get out and vote. What are you voting for? For the Democrats, at least. What are you voting for? And as long as black people, as long as you are political chumps, like Malcolm said about you, as long as you're political chumps, as long as they can tell you you're not black if you don't vote Democrat, and as long as you allow them to play a sick game with you to try to get your hopes up for possibly some reparations, people that really respect themselves as a community will immediately say, you know what? F them Democrats. And say, y'all done messed with us for the last time. We are not voting for you no more. Matter of fact, we're going to go and vote Republican, or we're not going to vote at all. That's what we're going to do. Because at least the Republicans are up front what they talking about with us, whatever it may be. They didn't play a sick game. Right? At least the Republicans not bringing in all these illegal immigrants, trying to flood the black neighborhoods all over the country, right? They're not doing it, but the Democrats are. The Democrats, look at what's happening in New York. Democrats with Jordan Neely. All Democrats siding with the dude that had no right to put his arms around the neck of Jordan Neely. It's Democrats. How much more y'all gonna learn about the Democrat Party? The Democrat Party, just from what I've seen, have shown themselves after Biden got in office, I noticed, more than any other time. I mean, they be kind of covert with their racism, but now they just out with it now. They're out with their racism. You have to understand, white supremacy and racism and maintaining white supremacy is a bipartisan political strategy. The Democrats is heavily invested in keeping you at the bottom. Actually, the Democrats do better keeping you at the bottom because they convince you that being on a program is good, a low-income program. They convince you that low-income housing is a good thing. We need more low-income and affordable housing instead of we need more middle class. We need to bring our people to the middle class and get them from the middle class to the upper class. The Democrats not trying to do that with none of you. And at the same time, you should not be weighing your whole life on a check from the white supremacists anyway. Because let me talk about me. Now, I'm not going to mention nobody else. I'm talking about me. Phillip is not sitting here waiting on a check from the white supremacists. It's old, but I'm not waiting on it. What Phillip is doing, Phillip is building. Phillip has a vision of what he's doing here in America, in Africa, in the Caribbean when we get some footwork there, but definitely in Africa right now. And we doing what we got to do. In the midst of doing the work that I'm doing, we'll keep fighting about reparations, but we're going to continue to do the work. We should be building our own communities and not sitting around waiting for reparations. We should be educating our children, educating our people. You could talk about reparations and fight for it and still be building at the same time. We should be focusing on getting our men to have skilled trades. Skilled trades, our men will not have astronomical amount of debt like these college graduates have all this debt and they can't even get a job. That's what we should be focusing on, getting our young men to be truck drivers, plumbers, electricians, process operators, petroleum engineers. Getting our young men to learn landscaping and all different things we know, to learn how to lay roads and build bridges, things for infrastructure. This is what our young men need to be. We see what's going on right now in Florida, when a lot of the immigrants who are illegal running out of Florida right now because they are afraid of a new law that's going to possibly be signed. Black American men should be flooding those construction jobs right now. You should be flooding those jobs and going out there and doing what you need to do to get those jobs that was not open to you right now. We can't sit here and wait on them to give us a check. I don't care if it's a big check. That's not the end all be all for our people. We have made it in this country and have made it many times before without the need of these people. And we will continue to make it, and we can still fight at the same time. But unification and doing what we need to do as a people should not be just how breath being held just on waiting on a reparations check. No. I don't live my life like that. Wait, so hope the white supremacists give us who is old. No. God has given me breath in my body. I'm going to do the mission that he laid before me to do, and you should do the mission that's laid before you to do. We don't have to wait on them. Our ancestors out of slavery didn't get a check. In Reconstruction, they didn't get that at all. All our history, we didn't get a check. That's why we're talking about it now. Even some of our greatest things that we built with our hands, we didn't get any kind of reparations check. But it was still owed to those brothers and sisters. It was owed. And it's owed to us. But we need to do the building, because we say we built this country, but why aren't we building each other up? Why aren't we building businesses, building communities? We need to build now, because what's coming down the pipe with these immigrants, they not here. They don't feel sorry for you. They can care less about you. They're competing with you, and they're getting a leg up because the government is helping them. They're not helping you. So either you unify and get our act together, or you're going to wither on the vine. Now, all of us going to wither on the vine? No. But a lot of us will, because you don't want to get together and work with each other. Some of y'all may be disappointed. Me, I'm not disappointed, because I'm working. And you should be working too. But the response should be, the proper response should be for the Democrat Party, if you respect yourself as a black person, they shouldn't get a never vote from you. Because all the language that Gavin Newsom was saying, that come from the top. Biden should not get a single vote from black people. We know the raccoon's going to vote for him. Because it's like this. I'm going to say it. At this point, if you're voting Democrat, you just a raccoon at this point. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I've never said that before, but I'm going to say it now. You just being a raccoon. Because how much more they need to disrespect you? They don't disrespect no other group of people but you. So if you want to be a raccoon and vote for Democrat, go ahead and do it. I can't do it. I won't do it. I respect myself too much to vote for Democrats. I got too much pride in myself as a black man to not go out and vote for Democrat. Forget that. But in life, the fight continues. You still keep fighting for reparations, still keep talking about reparations. Don't just throw it away because what Gavin Newsom doing. Gavin Newsom don't have no power over a movement, right? Remember, on the plantation, many times he tried to get off the plantation, many slave revolts. Some were successful, some failed, but in the end, black people got off those plantations because you keep fighting. You don't just be quiet and put your head down. No. Are you going to let massa say you can't have something, or you going to keep fighting? Because you put your head down and complain about it. It's, oh, man, what about? That means massa was in control the whole time. If massa's in control of your movement, what is your movement? Right? Keep fighting, but at the same time, build yourself, your personal family that's around you, build them, and then work with people within your country that's in the community. And if you a type person like myself that goes abroad, work with black people abroad, that's all we need to do. Keep building, take advantage of what the position that we've been put in by our ancestors. Because there's a lot of things that I didn't have to go through that my grandparents went through, my great-grandparents went through. They suffered, so I could take further steps up. So I'll be a disappointment to my grandparents, my great-grandparents, aunties, uncles, and everything else if Phillip don't build anything and don't do anything for the next generation that's going to come behind me. Yes, reparations, I believe in it, and we deserve it. But it's not going to stop me from building anything, and it should not stop you. But let me know what you think about, the Democrats. Are you going to vote for them? Are you going to be a raccoon and vote for them? I'm just curious because I'm not voting for them. You can't pay me to vote for Democrats. They can't get my vote at all because to me, that was the last straw. The disrespect is too much. The Biden disrespect was bad, but this one, playing a sick joke on black people, that is a new low.